Hi everyone, welcome to your practice today, all about the feet, strength, flexibility, awareness, coordination. So glad to have you here. We'll start seated, nice and tall. You might have a few blocks and a blanket to sit up on or a chair, just so that the spine is nice and tall and you feel like you don't have to work so hard to sit up. And we'll bring Anjali Mudra at the heart center. So bring the tips of the fingers, outer edges of the hands together at the heart. And as you settle into your seat, allowing a few deeper breaths, low and slow in the body. And from here, we'll start out our practice with the legs long. Again, sitting up on something is nice. And leaning back on the hands. And as you inhale, you'll pull the toes back and spread the toes. And as you exhale, you'll curl the toes in and down. Just moving the toes here, pulling the toes back and curling the toes in. Just resting back on the hands here comfortably, trying to wake up the toes. And then the next time you pull the toes back, draw the whole foot back, maybe even lifting the heels. And as you exhale, push the feet away from you, pressing the soles of the feet to the floor. So we're taking about 5 to 7 rounds of each of these actions here, just waking up the feet. We're pulling the toes, the whole foot back, and then pushing the foot away from you towards the floor. Next, we'll take an inversion and eversion. So turning the whole foot out, tapping the little toes to the ground, and then pushing one foot on top of the other as you turn the feet in. So turning the toes out and then pushing one foot on top of the other. Getting into the feet, the ankles, up into the hip sockets here. Shake out your feet, roll through the ankles in one direction. Big circles, other direction. Turning the feet away from each other. Really big circles, keep spreading the toes. And then towards each other. So moving the feet with no weight on them, and then we'll start to put some weight on them, building some strength. Let's come to hands and knees. You can place a blanket underneath the knees if you're on a hard floor today and have your blocks nearby. And we'll move into cat and cow. So as you exhale, round your spine and tuck your chin. As you inhale, tuck the toes, soften the belly and lift the chest. Exhale, tucking the toes around your spine. Inhale, we're pointing the toes back, pushing into the tops of the feet. So pushing into the toes as you round, pushing into the tops of the feet as you extend the chest forward. Come to neutral spine now. Draw the right knee into the chest, putting some weight on the top of the foot. And then curl back onto the sole of the foot, lean back, tucking the chin, coming up onto the fingertips. Then press onto the hands, extend that right leg back, tuck your toes, and start to push that right heel back, moving back and forth, getting a stretch in the Achilles and into the calf here. And then we'll do that again. So curl the foot, push into the top of the foot, tops of the toes, knee to chest, and then rock back onto that back heel, coming onto the sole of the foot, rounding your spine. Come forward onto hands and knees, extend that right leg back, and little pulses forward and back. We're starting to put a little more weight on the foot now. One more time, draw that knee into the chest, push into the top of the foot, roll onto the sole of the foot, push the hips back, round, come up onto the fingertips, and then extend that right leg back, and little pulses. Come back to hands and knees. Just notice difference between right and left side. We'll move right to the other side, curling in, coming onto the top of the foot, rolling over that foot, sitting back, stretching the sole of the foot up into the calf, and then extend that leg back, tucking your toes, little pulses here. Draw that knee in, coming onto the top of the foot, putting as much pressure as you want on the top of the foot to stretch, and then sitting back onto the heel, rounding forward. Extend the chest forward, reach that leg back, little pulses, forward and back. So it takes a little getting used to this sequence, but you'll practice it and you'll get it over time. One more time, curling in, rolling onto the top of the foot, sitting back onto the sole of the foot, and then coming up onto the hands and knee, extend that left leg back, and little pulses. Let's come to hands and knees now. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Pedal out your feet. You can circle through one foot and then the other. If you're not going upside down today, feel free to take table instead. Lift and lower your heels, and then shifting the heels to the right, setting the feet down, and then shift the heels to the left, pushing that top hip back. Just getting into the outer hip here, a little more into the soles of the feet. Nice. Downward facing dog. Walk the feet towards the hands, hands towards the feet. Little ragdoll from side to side, and then round up the spine. Push into the feet and coming to standing. So now we're having our full weight over our feet now. Bring that Anjali Mudra at the heart center. Reach out, around, and up. And then Anjali Mudra back to the heart. So standing on 2 feet here. Just take little rocks here, so little shifts, shifting the weight forward towards the toes, not lifting the heels, just getting light on the heels, and then shifting the weight back. So shifting the weight forward towards the toes, light on the heels, keep breathing, and then shifting the weight back towards the heels. You could lift the toes if you wanted to. Okay, so you're just feeling that weight shift across the foot, across the bottom of the foot, just getting that muscle memory of what it's like to shift off balance and then shift back into balance. And then bring the weight over the feet, front to back. Now we'll move from side to side. So just a gentle shift to one side, getting light on one foot without lifting it off the floor, and then shift back through center, equal weight on both feet. And then shift to the other foot. Just getting light on that foot. So from side to side here, as slow as your ego will allow you to feel that weight shift. Letting the body know that we go off balance, we're breathing, we come back to balance. And then find center from front to back, side to side. And now we'll draw circles above the feet. So circling in one direction. Again, feeling that shift from the front of the foot, outer edge, back to the heels, inner edge. Notice what's happening. The feet are very sensitive. Switching directions. And sometimes when we're wearing shoes all the time, we lose that sensitivity in the feet. So we're trying to re-educate the feet to be sensitive, which helps our balance, our strength, our awareness. Coming over the feet now, taking a breath in and a breath out. And let's step to the top of the mat here. Weight centered over the feet. Inhale, sweep the arms wide and up overhead. Anjali Mudra, forward fold. Lift halfway, lengthen the chest, forward. Hands to the floor or blocks, forward fold. Rise to stand, weight centered over the feet. Bring the hands together at the heart, Anjali Mudra. Again, inhale, sweep wide and up overhead. Anjali Mudra through heart center, forward fold. Lift halfway, fingertips to the shins, blocks or floor, forward fold, release. Rise to stand, reach out, around and up, weight centered over the feet. Hands to heart center. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, Anjali Mudra through heart center, forward fold. Lift halfway and then extend that right leg back, knee down, top of the foot down. Reach the arms up. And then hands to frame your front foot, step back to table or downward facing dog. Rocking forward to plank pose on knees or toes and lower all the way to the floor. Push into the tops of the feet to lift your chest, cobra pose. And then lower the head to the floor. Push into the hands, come up onto hands and knees or hands and toes, and back to downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward, back knee, top of the foot down. Push into the back foot to reach your arms up, and then place your fingertips out ahead of you and step up, forward fold, weight over your feet. Rise to stand, tall spine, and then hands in Anjali Mudra, come back to center. Breathing here. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Bring Anjali Mudra to heart center, forward fold. Lift halfway. And then step your left foot back, knee down, top of the foot down. So from the top of the back foot, reach the arms up. And then place the hands to the floor, step back to downward facing dog, centered over hands and feet. Rock forward to plank. Lower all the way to the floor. Again, press into the tops of the feet to lift your chest, cobra pose. And then release the head down. Tuck your toes, lift your hips and shoulders, downward facing dog. Step your left foot forward, land softly, propel from the back foot all the way up through the fingertips, and then place the fingertips to the floor. Step up over the feet, forward fold. Push into your feet, rise to stand from foundation all the way up, hands to heart center. Circling over the feet, finding that steady presence once again. One direction and then the other. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Anjali Mudra through heart center, fold forward. Lift halfway. And then step your right foot back, turn the heel down, and then come to face the wide edge of your mat. This might be where you'd like a block outside of that front foot. Reach your arms out to T position. Push into your feet and reach forward over that left leg. And then center the shoulders over the hips. Reaching forward as the hips go back. And then coming back up tall. One more time. Reach forward, long spine. And then place the bottom hand at the shin, the block, or the floor, right underneath your shoulder, so the hand becomes like the feet. You notice that I move my back foot in to give myself more stability. Triangle pose. Push into your feet. You can look up or down. And if you like, you can grab your big toe with your peace fingers, and you want to push the foot down as you pull away with your hand. So you're very active through the foot, up all the way through that top arm. Soften your front knee, come all the way up. And we'll release the hands to the floor and step back, downward facing dog. Now you can rest here or come forward to plank pose. Lower to the floor, move through a vinyasa. Push into your feet to lift your chest, maybe into up dog, and then rolling over the feet back to down dog. We'll take that on the other side. So step your right foot forward now, coming to face the wide edge of your mat. I'm going to turn to face you. Again, take your block with you. And that block's right outside that right foot. Push into your back foot, reach your arms out to T position. Hinge at your hips as you reach forward over that front leg, and then come all the way back up. So feel your feet propelling you forward, and your feet realigning the spine over the hips. Next time you come into that hinge, place your hand right underneath that shoulder. Reach your top arm up. So you have 2 feet in one hand, very stable on the ground. Legs are active. And if you like to take that toe bind, peace fingers around your big toe. You're pushing your big toe down, and then you're pulling up, resisting with that arm. Triangle pose with the toe bind. breathing here. And bending that knee, coming to your lunge, stepping back to downward facing dog. Move through a vinyasa if you wish, working from your feet on up. So push into your feet to lift the chest, cobra or up dog, and back to downward facing dog. Always welcome to rest in child's pose. From here, step walker, hop towards the top of your mat, centered over your feet, forward fold. Rise to stand on a breath in, and bringing Anjali Mudra back to heart center. Good job. Rolling, rounding, rotating over the feet here if you like. Just reestablishing that centeredness over your foundation here. Let's go ahead and take a balance sequence, okay? So feel free to move to a wall or out into the middle of your space, your choice. Step onto your left foot and bend that right knee back. You're going to point the lifted toe and squat, and then flex your foot and squat again, balancing over that one foot. Draw your knee up into your chest, maybe reach the arms up, standing staff. Extend the foot forward if you like, wiggle those toes. We're going to hinge into warrior three. So bringing Anjali Mudra to heart center, sweep that leg back, kicking a heavy door closed there with that foot, imaginary door. Unhinge, come back to standing staff and into figure four pose. So ankle above the knee, you can stay standing or sit back. Really challenging all those little muscles in the feet, the ankles up through the hip. Back to standing staff, leg bent or straight. Warrior three, one more time if you like. And if you like, you can reach the arms in Anjali Mudra up and overhead. And then release, just let it go. Shake out the leg, shake out the head. And let's take that to the other side when you're ready. So as you bend that knee back, point the toes, lift your chest, and then take a squat. Hips go back, chest stays lifted. And now flex that lifted foot. Take another squat, hips go back. Coming up to standing, and coming into standing staff, extending that lifted leg forward if you wish. Anjali Mudra overhead if you wish. Breathing, taking a break when you need. Warrior three, kicking back through that back foot. Maybe reaching the arms up and overhead now. Sweep back and up into standing staff, moving into figure four. Feet are active here, so flex your lifted foot here as you keep breathing as easy as you can. It's not easy. Back to standing staff, extended or bent leg. Sweeping to warrior three one more time. Active lifted leg here. And then release, soften the knees, good work. Soften the feet, shake it out, shake it out. Lifting halfway, forward fold. Rise to stand, reach out, around and up, touch the sky, hands to heart center. Good job. Not an easy sequence. Feel free to play with that on your own time. Let's come back to center here. Reach out, around and up. Anjali Mudra through heart center, forward fold. Lift halfway, lengthen. Forward fold, stepping one knee and then the other to the floor. Make your way to child's pose here. Coming back to the earth, hands grounded. You can turn the palms to face up if you like, releasing through the wrists. Letting the breath come back to a more natural pace. Feeling the heart beating. If you'd like to take Anjali Mudra here behind the head, it might give you a bit of more stretch through the armpits, down through the side waist. Kind of nice to get a little length there, a little space after that sequence. Bring the hands back to the floor. We'll come to a seat and we'll move into some abdominal work here. So giving a little bit of break to the feet, but the feet will still be active. We're coming towards Navasana, so feet to the floor, hands behind the thighs, lifting through the chest. Exhale, lean back, keeping the low back lifted. Inhale, shoulders over the hips. Exhale, lean back. Inhale, lift the chest. One more time. Now you can stick with this if you like, or stay in Navasana, boat pose. Welcome to release the arms parallel with the floor if you wish, or keep them for support around the legs. Breathing here, spreading the toes, and then cross the shins and forward fold, rest. And bring that Anjali Mudra overhead here, letting yourself take a break and breathe. I'm going to revisit that pose in just a moment. So coming up to seated, feet to the floor. Lean back. Hands can be around the thighs or released here. Low back is lifted. And if you like, you can take that peace finger grip around the big toes and take a balance here. Legs don't need to be straight. Chest is lifted, low back is long. Toes are pushing into the hands, hands are pulling back on the toes. And when you're ready to rest, cross the opposite shin in front and forward fold. Breathing easy, letting your belly relax here. Now, round 3, little play. Make sure you don't have anything in the way behind you if you're going to be rolling with me. You can take either of the previous 2 versions of boat, or beginning to play with rounding back, coming off of the tailbone, rounding back just to the shoulders, not to the neck. So make sure you control the round, using your core muscles to control. You can keep your hands behind the thighs or release the hands. And this is play here, so get some hang time there in boat pose if you like. Rest at any time, and then if you like a little more challenge, take that toe bind. And again, really important, rounding just to the shoulders and then using that momentum to come back up. Little wobble, no problem. Rounding back and coming up. Not easy, so smile, have some fun with it. Really pushing into the toes to bring yourself back up. Nice work. Crossing at the shins here. And taking a few moments to breathe. Let the belly be soft. Let's take a camel pose now. We'll take a little back bend. Give some space across the front body here. So coming up onto the shins, tuck your toes underneath. Bring the little toes with you. So all of them get into the party here. And circle your hands just above the hips here. Thumbs draw back, elbows draw back. Push into the toes, push into the knees. And then lift the chest from that push in the toes and the knees. So we're not thinking so much leaning back. We're thinking lifting up. From the push in the toes and the knees, up through the chest. Breathing as easy as you can here. Noticing the back of the neck is long, chin is slightly tucked. And when you're ready to rest, sit back on your heels with the toes tucked if you can. So this is toes pose. It can be pretty sensational. So be gentle with yourself here. You can always leave your hands on the floor to relieve some weight on the feet. Should get a nice stretch across the bottoms of the feet. Breathe as easy as you can. Not an easy pose to stay in, toes pose, but so good for our feet. Let's come back to camel pose. So again, push into the feet, push into the shins, lift your chest from that foundation. Soft gaze. Breath is low and slow in the body. About 3 to 5 breaths. Tuck your chin and sitting back on the heels with the toes tucked if you can. Letting yourself breathe. Now we'll take a little challenge here with the toe balance. So you can use your fingers, your hands, to push the knees off of the floor. Squeeze the knees together, squeeze the ankles together, keeping the hands on the floor, or bring one or both hands to that Anjali Mudra at the heart. Again, the more you squeeze the legs together, ankles together, the more support you'll have to come into the balance. And then a little play here, using the core to slowly tap the knees to the floor, and then leaning back, drawing the knees back up off of the floor. So using that control in the feet, all the way up through the legs into the core, to tap the knees to the floor and coming into toe balance. And then use your hands or not to sit back and congratulate yourself for that good work. Nice job. From here, let's come on to our seat here. Draw the right knee in towards your chest. You can keep the foot on the inside or the outside of that straight leg. You're welcome to draw a straight leg underneath you for the twist. So as we take the twist here, you're pushing into that big toe of that front foot. So pushing into the big toe and feel that rebound up through the top of the head here. You can wrap the elbow or arm around the knee or block the knee with the elbow. But the key here is keeping that front foot grounded, letting that long line of energy from the big toe all the way up through the top of the head guide your twist. Not too long in the twist here. We'll come out, shake that out, take the other side. So crossing that opposite foot over, keeping the bottom leg straight or tucking it in, yogi's choice. We're focusing on that big toe as we lift up through the chest, rotate, either wrap your arm around the front top knee or block with the elbow. Use that back hand as a kickstand so it becomes like a foot to keep the spine nice and long. And enjoy your twist. Ready to come out of the twist, unwind. Unwind the legs. Sitting up on something so the low back stays long. And we'll take a block between your feet. All right, so the feet are flexed. The knees can be bent to keep the low back long, or the legs can be straight. Doesn't matter if the legs are straight. More important for the low back to stay long. Hinge from the hips. And then start to walk the hands forward into your forward fold. And then play with your edge here. So if keeping the low back long requires you to stay a little more lifted, feel free to stay lifted. Welcome to take the toe bind as I'm doing here. Again, pushing the toes into the fingers, fingers back, pull back into the toes. And rounding the upper back. So the low back still stays long. You're hinging at your hips. And you can see here that I come in and out of the posture just to kind of play with the edge a little bit. So do what works for you. There's no need to fold all the way to your feet. You're just working with your edge today. It's all good. Coming back out with a tall spine. And remove your block and sit up nice and tall. Let's come off of our blankets here. See my mindfulness bell reminding me to breathe as we roll onto our backs, draw the knees into the chest. Just rock from side to side here. We'll take butterfly pose, so knees nice and wide, soles of the feet together. And if you'd like a blanket underneath the head, welcome to take that so you can relax through the shoulders and the neck. I'm taking a little foot massage here. If you can reach and grab for your feet, just doing organically what feels good. So kneading with the thumbs in the soles of the feet, the arches, kneading with the fingers in the tops of the feet. So whatever feels good to you. If the feet are far away today, no big deal. You can roll through the ankles, you can spread the toes, just kind of getting some relief of tension from all of that work you did today. Knees come back into the chest. One more time. And then you've made it to Shavasana, final resting pose. So let your feet come long. Let your legs come long, I should say, and the feet wide. Just let your feet be soft. Bring your arms away from the body, below the level of the heart, palms face up. Take any wiggles or fidgets that you need, any support you'd like underneath the head or the knees, any layers you'd like over the body. Please take that. We'll just take a few moments here to bring in the benefits of our practice. Let ourselves breathe and rest. Please stay here as long as you like. But if it's time for you to move on, begin to wiggle the fingers and the toes, take a few deeper breaths in the body, and begin to roll to one side. Feel the support of the earth beneath you and your breath within. And when you're ready to sit up nice and tall. Again, taking props with you or underneath you so that there's little effort in being seated. Bring the arms out, around, and up, and draw the hands together at heart center to that Anjali Mudra. Thank you so much for your practice today. Stay steady on those feet. We'll see you next time.